Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special and exclusive interview conducted on the sidelines of the Third Africa-Arab Summit here in Kuwait. First of all, I would like to thank you for your time and extend our warm welcome to you here in the State of Kuwait and attending the Africa-Arab Summit. First of all, can I ask you, what do you think of the government's preparations and their arrangements that they have undertaken to prepare for this summit?
I think that the arrangements for the meeting were simply superb, flawless, and the hospitality was very gorgeous. And what adds more significance to it is that, the people of this country are very friendly. And you can't say that it's an orchestrated friendship because it was spontaneous. Wherever I went, whether in the hotel, anywhere, people were very friendly, everybody keen to help if you needed any help at all. So I think that the preparations were very, very good. They couldn't be better.
Now, the summit has concluded and they've adopted the Kuwait Declaration. What are your prospects on the implementation of this declaration and the committee that has been set up to follow up on the decisions adopted by the resolutions?
Yeah, first, the declaration is a very ambitious agenda. But in the past, we would have very many lofty ideas, very good ideas. But we didn't spend much time on designing the mechanisms, the arrangements for putting those ideas into practice. But this time we are now attending to the structural arrangements for making sure that the ideas are anchored, the ideas come to reality, come to fruition, which is, I think, is a very good trend, but we must build on it. We should put in every bit of effort to refine the institutional arrangements for sort of mechanisms, for structures, for making sure that these ideas are implemented. It will be a process, it won't be overnight, but at least we are now beginning to tackle the idea of structures very seriously. And this is what has been a weakness in the past. We'll come up with very, very wonderful ideas, but no mechanism for making sure that the ideas come to some concrete reality.
Now, if I may ask you, what are the challenges that are currently facing the partnerships between the African continent and the Arab world, particularly pertaining to the fact that the first summit was held in 1977, and now in its third edition, it's 2013.
The difference between then and now is that most of our countries is very scanty resources. The partnership, the spirit was there, the sentiment was there, but when it comes to practical realities, we didn't have the means. But now some of our countries in the African Arab regions have got some resources, and what is more, they have a willingness to come to the help of those countries that need help. Most of the help will be commercial, and it's up to the countries that are recipients that receive the financial assistance or whatever technical assistance to make maximum use of it. So internally, in the countries that belong to this region, the countries that have participated in this summit and those that were not able to participate, they must have structures internally to make use of whatever financial technical assistance that they get from countries within the region. In the past, we all relied on the Western countries, but as you know, the Western countries are not only perhaps suffering from a bit of compassion fatigue, but they also challenges in their economies, and as the structure of their population impose challenges in terms of servicing the pension needs, the healthcare needs, they are also increasingly running out of money. So it's good that what used to be third world countries, developing countries, are now trying to get their act together and trying to help each other as much as possible. And I think we'll get there.
Now, there is no doubt that the African continent has so much potential and is rich in so many different ways. But it does face some challenges, particularly regarding sustainable development and infrastructure. How did this summit, did this summit play an instrumental role in tackling these challenges head-on?
Now, this summit, any summit cannot be enough, cannot have enough space to deal with those challenges. And you know, when you talk generally, issues are lost. So let's be specific. I'll talk about Zambia. Zambia, we do have some infrastructure which needs expanding. And we have situations on the ground which mechanisms and institutions which can take the development forward. Over the last, say, 6 years, our growth rates have been quite impressive, between 6 and 7%. Our inflation levels are quite low, single digit, and because the interest rates are not so low. But even then, you know, if we go back to 3 years ago, the interest rates in my country were as high as 50%. They are now less than the 20%. That's our average of commercial banking lending rates are about 15%. And there are some government-sponsored institutions, they don't have vast resources, but they are able to lend at much lower than the commercial interest rates. So we do have some structures. And in terms of the country's endowments, we have very wonderful, favorable soil climatic conditions. Most of Zambia is in the dry bone belt, and the soil fertilities are very high. Especially under irrigation. Irrigation offers a lot of scope because some of the irrigated crops are very high. If you take a crop like wheat, which is grown during the dry seasons under irrigation, some good farmers have registered as high as 10.4 tons per hectare. These are very high yields of wheat by all accounts. In fact, I don't think that there are anywhere in the world where they have such high yields, except in places like in the state of Oregon, where they produce similar yields per hectare, but it's under genetically modified wheat. But for non-genetically modified wheat, you can't get such yields. Zambia is self-sufficient in sugar. One of the places where, the only place where we produce sugar in large quantities in the southern part of Zambia, a place called Mazabuka. Here again, we are able to get something like 130 tons per hectare of cane. And even in the African context, when you compare those yields in Mazabuka in Zambia with the yields in Natal in South Africa, which are about 70 to 80 tons per hectare, those yields are very exceptionally high. So I'm just giving you a few examples of the kind of potential that Zambia has, and the favorable climatic soil conditions that we can take things like agriculture to the highest levels of development.
Well, that's perfect, because that was my next question. If we could just take it a bit further and speak about the bilateral relations between Kuwait and Zambia specifically, and Kuwait's role in supporting Zambia through various different means, including the Kuwait Fund for Arab and Economic Development and other Kuwait-based charitable organizations.
I think that bilateral relations are very good, even though we don't have embassies in each other's country, but we have very good relations. And in fact, in 2 to 3 weeks, a delegation from Kuwait Fund will come to Zambia to sign a loan agreement. They are supporting the educational sector, teachers training colleges, and as you know, support to the education sector is one of growing a particular country's economy, because education is something that enhances or improves or increases the productive capacity of our citizens. So they are supporting us in critical areas of development.
Now, during your visit here in the state of Kuwait, can you touch on some of the different activities and the meetings that took place, and are there currently any solid or concrete steps to increase bilateral relations between the two countries in the various domains?
Yeah, but you know, things cannot be just done in one meeting. And so we had a meeting with the Kuwait Fund, and the important thing is that they are prepared to send a delegation. When they come to Zambia, to be specific mission signing a loan agreement in the education sector, but it also gives us an opportunity to discuss a wide range of areas in which we will cooperate. Zambia has a lot of projects which we are not able to find internal financing for, and which we will put to the international financial community for financing. And the Kuwait Fund is one of those sources of funding. Recently, we've had some support from the Saudi fund. They supported us by providing us with the fertilizer, a urea component, so in the Arab region there is already forms of cooperation, and so we think that the future for us to work together, Africans and Arabs, are very bright. And as I said at the beginning of our discussion, in the past we talked about ideas. Then we stopped short of finding structures which can help to bring those ideas into some concrete reality. But now we are doing that. This summit, we spent a lot of time putting up committees, technical committees, which will help progress the ideas that we discussed. This means the ideas of cooperation. How do you cooperate? You have to have structures which conduce to cooperation, and so that's what we are attending to. And it's not something you do overnight.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for your time. Thank you for giving us this exclusive interview. And from everybody at the English News Department at the Ministry of Information, they would like to extend their gratitude and appreciation as well. And we hope that you've enjoyed your visit here to the State of Kuwait.
No, the visit has been very useful, and we thank you very much for giving us an opportunity to say something about our country. Obviously, in the time frame we had, it was not possible, but you know, our country is one of those promising countries, and we have very good policies, we have good conducive investment climate. We don't have restriction of capital. There is free movement of capital in and out of the country. So that's one thing that we cheer the investors for. People don't invest for sentiment. They want to get a return on their investment, and when they made a profit, they would like to get the money out of the country by way of dividends after they've serviced their obligations internally, looked after the workers, paid their taxes, and that which remains in profit, they would like to take a component of it out of the country. And in some countries it's an uphill task, but in our country there are no such difficulties. So that free movement of capital in and out of the country